Hey folks, welcome back to Arcane Assist. I'm joined this week by Evan, and I'm Rebecca. You've probably heard me record on this channel under a different name. One of the reasons we took a bit of an extended break is I came out as trans this year, and we had to do a little bit of figuring out about what that looked like for us. So this is what that looks like, and we're back hoping to bring you more content. I'm playing Grymkin this week. What did you bring for us, Evan?
I brought some Skorne, and this is exciting because we're going to use some of the fantastic new Oblivion changes, as well as some new models that we haven't used on the channel before. So yeah, it's a bit of a nice, fresh start for us. That said, I'm starting it off with an old favorite. We got some Xerxis2, but his battle group is going to look a little bit different than it ever has before. So we've got two Roadhogs, a Blackhide Wrastler, a Bronzeback Titan, a Swamp Horror, and a free Agonizer, as well as a free Krea. Then we've also got Zaadesh 1, who is also free, a Titan Gladiator, and 2 minimum units of Paingiver Beast Handlers. The gist of this is not too different from Xerxis2 lists of old. However, Roadhogs are really fast.
Really fast.
Like, Carver made them fast with mobility, but just having that +2 speed all the time is pretty sweet. And also being able to use both Pharaoh and Gatorman War Beasts at the same time, as it has been already with Disciples of Agony in the past, pretty damn good. Swamp Horrors really like Sign's importance on the feet, especially when I can pick out crits. Swamp Horrors like to move a billion inches a turn, especially with pull. They like the Krea aura when they have impervious flesh to make them even stupider against guns, as well as the Agonizer aura. There's just a whole lot of good stuff in the minion lineup that Xerxis2 absolutely loves.
Yeah, and just because playing huge base casters against huge base casters is a ton of fun, I'm playing Old Witch3, Zevanna Agha, the Fate Keeper, in this case the Grymkin version. I'm playing in Bump in the Night, and this is the first time I've put Piggybacks on the table in maybe over a year and a bit, and I'm playing with Piggyback Officers. So this is definitely a little off-brand for Grymkin. This is the Bump in the Night theme. Hence the inclusion of Piggybacks. Battle group has Baron Tonguelick, who I'm a big fan of. You'll see him in a lot of Grymkin lists. Then I've got a single Clockatrice, a Rattler, and a Gorehound. So fairly minimal battle group for her. Then I'm playing Bump in the Night with a Death Knell, which is a little bit unusual. I've got a Glimmer Imp and a Trapperkin. 2 Malady Man, who are both requisition options. The Baron's also a requisition option, but I could have used just about any 4-point solo in this list, or UA. 2 units of Piggybacks with their officers. A unit of Murder Crows, which again are not something I've used a lot this edition, so there's a lot of unusual things in this list. And then 2 Madcaps. So a couple notes about this. One thing is, I will admit that the beginning of this list is 2 Piggyman officers. The Piggybacks are something I never really got a great amount of use out of before, but seeing Incinerators play well, I wanted to make use of the mini feat that can really kind of keep them in shield wall for a long period of time. So I wanted to support them. So right off the hop, that means I want to give them access to Desperate Pace, because the Malady Men offer a lot of tools for Bump in the Night. And then I wanted to give them access to the armor buff associated with the Death Knell. Then, and only then, I picked a caster and got Old Witch, because she has the ability to support them with a little bit of recursion and give them boundless charge so that they can really deliver deep on that turn where they charge in and then defensive formation. And then I'd spent most of my list, and it was pretty balled up in one spot. The new Steamroller really shows you that you need to spread out fairly wide. So almost everything else in the list is a concession to the potential for scenario that needs to go wider. So that's why I've got Murder Crows, because they have ambush by default now. I've got Madcaps, because they can stay on a flank really effectively. I've got a Trapperkin, which is a really difficult piece to remove in terms of scenario presence. And my battle group is kind of a mixture of tools that sort of could suit any purpose, but inevitably have a piece or two that would be fair to throw away. So that's basically the premise of list construction, and it's been a while since we've been doing it, so let us know what we got wrong.
And with that, I think we're just about ready to go into the game. All right, so moving into deployment, we've got Xerxis right up the middle, and we're going to more or less balance out equal sides here. We've got the Wrastler as a hard-hitting piece on the bottom side of the table, the Bronzeback is a hard-hitting piece on the top side, and then we've got Flavor Beast, Gladiator on bottom, Swamp Horror on top, and a Roadhog in either flank, as well as Beast Handlers trailing behind with support pieces like the Krea and Agonizer in there as well. we're trying to make it so that the beast handlers don't trail too far behind. So we're going to put them pretty hard on the flanks, make sure they're able to get up and in front of the war beasts that they would normally be supporting. That way they won't get away too fast because they go so fast in this list. On to your deployment.
So it's worth noting that prey has to be declared at before the murder crows are on the table step. They're a prey unit with ambush, which is a very strange combination. So I thought about praying the kind of beast handlers that I watched Evan deploy pretty wide, because being able to come in and attack sort of wide beast handlers is really good, and ultimately decided that instead what I wanted to pray is a piece he had to commit that I could remove potentially with something else to cycle prey over to whatever was on the wide side of the board. So I prayed the Wrastler because I feel like it's an anchor piece and a key element of this, but maybe something that he's going to try to piece trade with early. That could have been a Roadhog, and that might have been better, but I wanted something he had to send forward. Looking at this table, and I had the option of picking side. I know Evan threats really, really far and has a lot of tools, so I basically decided that this bottom half of the board is where I'm going to try to swing from, which means Old Witch needs all of her tricks and all of her tools on this top end of the board. So I've got a Gorehound down here as a late game battle group piece, but otherwise my entire battle group is deployed up top. I've got all of the piggybacks here. I've sort of placed the Malady Man kind of in between them so they can do desperate pace and run up and do their thing. Put the Twilight Sisters behind, Baron Tonguelick also behind. I've left him out front, but there's actually a spot for him in a second. We're going to correct that, you'll see. And then the Madcaps I'm playing super, super wide, virtually on the sides of the board. The intent behind that is, they can stay relatively unmolested, and they can be somewhere else, somewhere relevant for most of the game. And that's a really solid place for them. That they can drop pieces that can contest those zones and be really effective.
So into my first turn, for the gist of it, we're just rushing everything and running up forward. We're putting up our upkeeps. So we've got Ignite on the Roadhog on the bottom of the table and Rapport on the Roadhog on the top of the table. The Roadhogs are the models that, while they threat the same as the Swamp Horror, they're going to be physically moving farther up the table because they do not have Chain Strike and Pull. So I figured Rapport means that they won't necessarily find themselves out of my control range as easily as they otherwise would. Everyone else I've got to play a little bit more tight with. These beasts are both at the edge of my control range as far as they can really be stretched. But playing as wide as possible on this scenario. Bronzeback, he's going to live in the center of the table. He's going to threaten whatever piece we want to put in the middle there. And he's going to be incredibly hard to kill with both Puissance for unyielding, as well as the Agonizer aura, and if I feel like it's needed, which is not really in this matchup because you don't have a lot of guns.
No, I don't.
Force aura is also an option.
I really like that Bronzeback is just sort of dictating the entire line of engagement. I think that's a challenging puzzle that I'm going to have to work my way through.
It's like I have a lot of large trucks, just like on either side of the table. Everything in this list can hit hard, but the 18-wheeler's coming down the middle.
Yep, it sure is.
The rest of them are like just Fords and Chevys, but this is 18 wheels of steel.
And it's terrifying. And it threats, what did you say, 13 inches?
13. It's, what? Being a big one, he's a little slower, but he's going to hit a lot harder.
He's a coming. Yeah, that's so here you can see me measuring with widgets. It's a 13-inch widget and a 12-inch widget. So I'm hoping that the angle that you'll have to come alongside that obstruction in the middle gives me a spot where Old Witch can stand just a little bit outside of the 13 and take her blind gunshot at the Roadhog. My hope this turn is that I can blind it, paralyze it, and just in as many ways as possible make it cost resources to do work next turn. So that's what I'm doing. This turn is just unpack my list and don't die.
That's fair. That's a good thing to have as a plan. I hate these Cask Imps, for the record.
Well, these are Madcaps, but you're about to see Cask Imps placed.
Potato.
Potato, tomato. So, ideally, I play these kind of really, really conservatively up the side of the board here. I actually I underestimate Evan's start range a little bit, and I play these too aggressively. So you're going to see him do the best job of punishing me for that. And the same thing over here. I'm putting as many cast imps as I can to the board. They place them within 4 inches, completely within 4 inches, and they generate D3 a turn. So my ideal is these factories just kind of live on the side of the board and just generate models that can contest and potentially run into something and blow up. So the Rattler moves up into range, just outside of the Swamp Horror's range. He's obviously in for that Roadhog, but I put up Countercharge. I'm planning to tie that Roadhog up as much as possible. And Old Witch goes. She puts Respawn on the Clockatrice. And she moves to within 12 inches of the Roadhog. And she shoots it with her fancy gun. I did -2 or -1 cost on spells this round.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. You did -1 cost on spells and not +5 range because
I thought there was a possibility that this Roadhog ends up getting it on an Old Witch, and then I want to have a couple of transfers. So that's basically what dictated my line of play this turn. I hit with the gun. That's a boost you saw there. And I now have an AoE on top of him. He's blinded, which is the kind of important part. And I'm going to stick a Clockatrice up there, the Respawn Clockatrice.
Yeah, Respawn Clockatrice. That's a hell of a thing, eh?
Yeah, I was really excited about that. I felt like it would be a really strong piece of this list. And I'm about to stick it. It's going to assault at a cute little vector here that keeps it still just a little bit behind the smoke. Clockatrice also have eyeless sight, so this cloud is a piece of terrain that I'm hoping to take advantage of.
Mm-hmm. Clockatrice are not a thing we've experienced all that much on the channel yet, so we have a moment to gush about them here. Eyeless sight, a paralyzed gun, assault, flight, a thing where if you hit it and hurt it too much, it just teleports away because screw you. Man, these things have everything.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit at some point about sort of ways to answer them, because I think a lot of folks are a bit stumped by the Clockatrice. But I'm going to do that mostly by putting Evan through the ringer with them. So I'm sure we're going to develop a love-hate relationship with the Clockatrice.
I suffer, so you don't have to.
So you got the spray there from the Clockatrice. It assaulted. It put up Time Stutter. I did not end up boosting damage, so I just paralyzed the Roadhog. So it's now paralyzed, blind, and hanging out up there. If I was clever, I might have scourged it.
This is how fast a Wrastler goes.
Yeah, so the Wrastler can go basically forever. So I sort of just decide I'm going to stick some things in the way. These Piggybacks can walk 7 because they got Desperate Pace from the Malady Man. So they're just advancing into Shield Wall, and they're going to take on the chin that Wrastler, which again, this is the sort of the game you have to play when you're just significantly out threat. You can't just cede the entire table. So I am giving Evan some of what I suspect he wants. So the Glimmer Imp runs up the middle of the board, so it can be accessible to other pieces later on. You saw the Trapperkin just sort of turn into a trap. That's what that little marker on the middle of the board is. And then we had the other Malady Man Desperate Pace them, and the other unit of Piggybacks move up. So now it's time to deploy the Death Knell. I'm painfully aware that Old Witch is not completely invulnerable. She can, really get hit by a, crazy enraged Roadhog potentially. So I'm keeping transfers and I'm keeping the aura on her, so she's just that much safer. Having said that, I think that Roadhog is pretty well controlled right now. It's got -2 speed from the Clockatrice Animus, so everyone would have to kill the Clockatrice first or move it out of the way to deal with it. And it's paralyzed.
What's the range of the Clockatrice Animus?
6.
I think I'm out for that, right?
No, you're in.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I reminded you kind of partway through that because you're like,
okay,
I can just walk into you, right? And I was like, nope, you're out.
Because you're with that exactly 12 inches away, which is the walking threat of a Roadhog somehow. And it's even better now since Oblivion says you don't have to force for your dials.
Big deal.
Pigs. You just take the damage, which is, considering you're a circle heavy box wise and a troll heavy stat wise. It's not great, but it's better than having to pay a Fury in addition to those other things we mentioned.
That was we're just marking the cloud that does the damage.
The several effects on the Roadhog.
Yeah, there's a bird, there's a blind, there's a stationary.
He's not having a good day.
Yeah, it's having a time.
I decide to drop Rapport at this point, and I drop Ignite as well because my Roadhogs are just not in positions to actually use those spells at all. However, they are both in fantastic positions to use their sprays, especially because I think this is going to be a feat turn because I can get work out of most of my pieces on this turn. With the Swamp Horror, I think, being fairly well suited to taking out a Clockatrice, being that it has a 4-inch reach that pulls it in, so it can't teleport far enough away that I can't just pull it in. It'd have to lose both its aspects without dying and teleport behind me in order to be completely out of my melee, which is a little bit difficult for it to do.
Yeah, especially if you can get a more or less direct line to it.
Mm-hmm. And with the way these Cask Imps / Madcaps are lined up, I'm getting pretty good sprays with Roadhogs. And those sprays get even better under my feet because they get Signs and Portents, which is just amazing.
Yeah, I underestimate a little bit the threat range on the Roadhogs, and it's to my detriment here. I'm feeling like I'm pretty safe with the Madcaps, but they're more vulnerable than they look. If you look where Evan's placed that proxy base, you can see he can spray basically the whole unit, which is not
I'm going to
smart.
get the Cask Imp you spawned, as well as both of the drivers? Vendors? Whatever you call the crewmen of the Madcap thing.
The technical term is grunt. What are you trying to say here?
They're like convenient, or not conveyor belt. They're like factory workers making imps. Operators? Look,
I mean, they're making alcohol.
they manufacture, but people is coming out of them.
Well, I mean, they're people in barrels of alcohol. The people are around. They're just dumping the alcohol.
Fair enough.
It's sort of an if you brew it, they will come situation here.
All right. If you haven't already figured it out, that 6-inch measurement to the Swamp Horror is going to be Rapport. And we're also going to throw out some rushes and such so that we have proper threat range on things. We're also going to throw out our typical prodding and rage, whip off fury, that kind of thing, so that we just, get all our proper buffs in our proper places, checks and balances and whatnot.
Rapport on the Swamp Horror is really cool. Mat 8 is a big deal because it has so many initials.
Mat 8 is amazing when you have 4 initials. Again, crit amputation with the ability to just pick out crits with the feet makes it just even better because as you go up in Mat, more of those lower doubles results can be chosen as crits because they'll actually hit the model you're trying to target.
Yep.
So, step 1, Roadhog goes, sprays a bunch of stuff. Well, step 1 was move, feet, Rapport. We already did that. We talked about
so
that.
everything's in Xerxis' control area as a feature of the feat, which means when this Roadhog goes over, it actually can boost. It hits the Cask Imp, misses one of the Madcaps, hits the Madcap, and hits the sort of cask, the tapper as well.
I missed the one guy that's carrying 2 torches.
Yeah, just one of the grunts.
And I believe I managed to obliterate the rest of the
unit. You kill everything else. I mistakenly picked this up too quickly. I have to roll a deviation. So I get to place an AoE 4 sort of basically on top of the Roadhog. It scatters not too far, gets to take a POW 12, and we light the Roadhog on fire.
All good and done.
Not a great use of a Madcap, but solid placement. Work with the Roadhog there, Evan. Well done.
Thank you. I take some damage from the full bore as well because I had to use that for the additional speed in order to get to the place I wanted to go.
I mean, you're basically in the west.
Yeah,
it's pretty wild.
The beast handlers go up. They're going to enrage this Wrastler because it's going to be a pain in the butt trying to murder these piggybacks. That's what they're called. But thankfully, as much as I couldn't get enraged for prodding, it doesn't matter because their warrior models, so the gator just wants to eat them and will do it politely for free.
Interestingly, the term piggyback is a reference to the sort of position the model is in, where it is carrying someone in a piggyback ride.
But there's two ways about that, because it is a piggy on someone's back.
A little witticism. I dig it. So we get a little countercharge, little monkey's bite action. Monkey comes in, charges, does a couple damage to that Wrastler. More importantly, applies the, quote, debuff of monkey's bite, which is to say -2 to your attack rolls.
Indeed. Bravest monkey in the world trying to bite a crocodile.
In the butt.
In the butt.
Little tail action there.
He's jealous.
Did you ever get the campfire story Tailio? Did you ever have that one?
No.
Look it up. It's good.
Okay. I'm not going to.
So, key feature here. Evan is going to snack these piggybacks.
Yeah, so thing I
big
hadn't
deal.
considered until the dice hit the table. The Death Knell is only covering about half the unit now. And it won't get to cover the whole unit because I'm eating them instead of throwing them into the corpse cart.
More importantly, I can't return them with Witch's machinery.
Hellhole.
Because she can return D3 warrior models, but she can't return any if they've been RFP'd.
Indeed.
And you healed the damage the monkey did to your tail.
The 1 point of damage.
Piggybacks get to be a little bit more resilient than expected by virtue of effective defense 13 because of the monkey's bite and the armor between 18 and 20 based on the Death Knell aura. So we actually tank a little bit better than expected, make no tough checks, but that's okay. Ultimately, I lose 3 piggybacks from one of the units, and I'm comfortable with that circumstance.
Trying to dole out some more rush here. Zaadesh is going to go and put rush onto the Swamp Horror. I love this little package in most Disciples of Agony lists. It just means that you don't have to be casting rush with your caster all the time. Takes a lot off of the Fury load, and it means you can put it out a lot more in a turn because you don't have to rely on the Gladiator just putting it out. You have a solo that can cast it twice.
And you can potentially, from that little package, cast rush 3 times.
Indeed.
Yeah, and have a really solid late game anchor piece.
Mm-hmm. Not only that, Zaadesh is incredibly hard to kill because he has both sack pawn to his war beast and transfers. So he can throw, like if you want to do a bit of a more flexible battle group, you can throw one war beast out and stand next to one and then like decide which one you want to do the damage on. Swamp Horror, killing this Clockatrice, or trying to, considering the 2 rules that make it very difficult to do that, being respawn and time stutter. So we drag it on in, throw it into that burning earth. We do pretty good damage. With Enrage, the bite goes to POW 18. Potentially 21 in this list if I wanted to use Rage on the Swamp Horror. However, we don't because the Swamp Horror is off in its own land. As earlier referred to, the West. And then it continues to tentacle slap this Clockatrice. Surprisingly, hasn't taken out an aspect yet.
Yeah.
There's 1 in spirit by the looks of it there.
Yeah, the Clockatrice is in a bit of an awkward spot. I would have really liked to pop away and kind of make Evan's Fury usage at least a little bit less efficient. Or maybe get to a position where, he killed me with an attack and I got to respawn and he had to buy tentacles instead of buying bites. But he's done kind of middling and very strong hits, which is something that ideally you engineer. You want to try to do that with your, by boosting and by using low POW and high POW attacks in a Clockatrice to soften it effectively and then finish multiple aspects at once with a big hit. Evan just kind of did that by virtue of having his dice do that for him. Could have done it with Xerxis' feet by controlling that.
Yeah, had I been paying a little bit more attention, I could have just
it just worked out for you.
Yeah.
You're just in a solid spot.
Mm-hmm. So
there are many ways you could have made that happen, and you just did it instead. So that's fine.
Yeah. So perfectly just trigger respawn and then hit you with a 4-inch reach attack and kill you. Incredibly convenient for me. I didn't have to think about it too much. Yay!
#value.
But Swamp Horrors seem like a fairly good solution to Clockatrice. Just by virtue of their mechanisms and how they work.
And they're a beast that has like a really high POW attack and then multiple low POW attacks, so you can do that softening technique that we talked about.
Yeah.
And also structurally, because the tentacles are on the pull, you can kind of you can do a tentacle pull the Clockatrice in and then do a bite or a beak and then boost damage and like, having softened an aspect, do multiple aspects, have it teleport out and then use another initial to pull it back in.
Mm-hmm. This Roadhog kind of does the best thing ever. It kills all of the little guys around the Madcap and then does a couple of points of damage to the Madcap and lights it on fire. Yay.
Yep. Super strong. Nobody walks into the Rattler's countercharge range. The Rattler's pretty far away anyway, so it's okay.
Mm-hmm. Trying to figure out where I want to put the Agonizer. I don't think there's a way I could possibly put it far enough forward that it actually helps the Wrastler in any way. I would have had to have rushed it so that it could get through the rubble in front of me, and I didn't, so we are just going to save the Krea and this Agonizer for later, so that they can be better support pieces later on in the game. I move the Bronzeback in a sort of taunting position directly in front of Old Witch in a way that I am in her threat and she is in my threat, but...
You're a Bronzeback?
But I'm a Bronzeback and she's
and
a caster.
If she charged in and killed that Bronzeback, which maybe she could do, then Xerxis kills her for sure.
Yep. There's just a lot of nope there.
So I've got some stuff to figure out here. I've got some RFP'd Piggybacks, which definitely attrition advantage Evan. I've got a Trapperkin who spawns in a maintenance phase, and I'm going to ambush in the Murder Crows. Now, the Murder Crows are about to all charge this Roadhog, and my goal for this turn, my sort of broad ambition, is I'm going to have everything on the bottom side of the board kill the Wrastler so that I can cycle prey to the Roadhog and have the Murder Crows kill the Roadhog.
Let's see how it does.
That's the hope. We'll see if that works out. On the top half of the board, I really don't know what I'm going to do. All of the pieces that I thought I was going to effortlessly contest with here have been killed. Evans really effectively neutralized the Clockatrice that I thought was going to be way more of a pain than it is. I didn't necessarily have a great time over here. The Gas Imp also misses his attack, and he ends up putting a fire damage roll, which does not break armor, onto one of the Murder Crows I just ambushed. So,
could have been worse.
Could have killed a Murder Crow. That would have been one less attack.
Could have scattered into more than one.
Could have scattered it. Well, I actually don't think it could have.
If it got a little bit further in the same direction.
No. I mean, I think that was max drift because of the distance of the attack.
Okay. I see what.
Because it can only go 3 inches because it's only range 6.
Piggybacks charge.
So this unit of Piggybacks charges and mini feats. That makes them power rank 15, so this is dice down 4. And the first couple of attacks really help with this plan of killing the Rattler. She's feeling pretty good about it.
Indeed.
So they all charge to 2-inch melee. Rattler's 1-inch melee, so they can use that defensive formation mini feat to repo pretty effectively. I'm down to an officer and 2, quote, gentle pigs. So they're in a little pocket in the zone, ready to keep moving up. Trapperkin rolls a bucket of dice, and they're terrible. Does no damage.
I was a little terrified when you were like, all right, Trapperkin, 5 dice damage. Oh, that's a lot of dice in this game, as it turns out.
Yep.
And then you did nothing. And I was like, thank God.
Yeah, so I was hoping the Trapperkin would do a little bit more, and then I would have like the Trapperkin, the Gorehound, and like a couple of other pieces. I've got a kind of elaborate plan, and I was hoping to not have to use this unit of Piggybacks to kill the Rattler. I was hoping to be able to send them in on the Krea or do something creative like that. My elaborate plan, and we're going to get to this in a second, is one of the Malady Men is going to desperate pace the other unit of Malady Men and Monkey. And then I'm going to boundless charge the Monkey, and then the Malady Man is going to run and do Can't Keep a Good Monkey Down, and the Monkey's going to charge and kill the entire unit of Beast Handlers.
Yeah.
It's a really elaborate plan. It'll probably fail. Monkey's map 5 inevitably lets me down, even rolling 3 dice. But so far, the Gorehound did a reasonable bit of damage to the Rattler.
Yep. This Rattler is hurting a lot. And even if you don't kill it, while you won't score the point in the zone, it's on 3 Fury and out of my control range, so it will almost definitely frenzy. And then it's just kind of stranded and alone in the middle of your zone, surrounded by things that can murder it still.
It's worth almost 12 damage on the Roadhog to kill it right now because it'll let me cycle prey. So it's really
sure.
important to kill the Wrastler.
No, that's a very good point.
Which is why after thinking about it for a little bit, I kind of check myself a bit and rethink the choice of digging the piggybacks even deeper and just decide I'm going to hold them back here. They're going to do what they're doing right now, and they're just going to get charges in on this Wrastler.
Except for these two.
Yeah, these two are running. And they also mini-feed here. I feel like mini-feeding on turn 2 is the right choice with these guys. Mini-feeding basically so that you can have the turn where you do damage is basically the choice I'm making. It didn't take many of them to solve this. And they're doing their thing now. They're getting into shield wall formation up the table. I confirm, which I was not 100% sure of for a second there, that acrobatics does let you ignore intervening models when declaring your charge target. Can be important because I just definitely blocked line of sight for that little monkey man. So the Malady Man and his monkey, they run on up, get into position. They desperate pace the other unit and just kind of are in an awkward spot for countercharge. And then the Baron Tonguelick wanders over and jumps into range, casts Boundless Charge on the monkey. I love this guy as a utility piece. He can just do so much. Leaves the Witch free to kind of plan her turns in a more elaborate way because she can feel a little resource strapped sometimes.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't thinking about this at all. I was like, they're beast handlers. They're in the back line. They'll be fine. But then when you Boundless Charged the monkey and just tore in real deep, I was like, oh, all of my support on this side of the table is probably just dead now, huh?
So the Malady Man gets to go pretty far. He only gets +2 movement from the Desperate Pace, but he does get +2 movement. So he's, he runs into a position where no matter where that monkey is going to be, after all of the potential Berserk overtakes, he's still going to have him in his command when he's making attacks. And then we're going to go ahead and kill some beast handlers. So first one lands the hit, charge attack, kills him. We keep going, see if I can roll more 8s, nails it, and kills him. Scooch a little bit further forward. We're going to kill the far one first. Hits him and kills him. And the last beast handler, let's see if he can do it. Oh, 4 for 4. Nicely done, Monkey Man. And he's going to scooch a little bit further forward, facing basically Evan's entire side of the board because he wants to be available for countercharge. Now that we've been able to cycle prey from the Wrastler, though, it's time for Murder Crows to earn their name.
Indeed.
This is a reference to the fact they're named Murder, if that was unclear.
A murder of?
A murder of... Oh, because they're crows.
Indeed.
That's good. Murder most foul?
But they're crows.
Yeah, they're foul. Like birds? Like a... No.
I thought fowl was like mostly birds like quail. And
Like birds that you can eat? Is that the point you're making?
yeah.
You're not going to eat a crow?
No.
Because they're so smart, right?
They're corvid. They're not fowl.
Okay. I can get behind that.
Anyways, you're rolling a bunch of dice, and eventually this Roadhog's gonna die.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're base mat 9 with magical talons, but then they get gang and they get prey, and that takes them to POW 13.
They have magic attacks?
They do. They have medical claws.
What?
Yeah.
What? Okay.
They're and like with the back arc, they're like basically mat 12. I don't know. They're pretty cool.
I mean, hey, I don't make the rules.
I mean, if you contribute to the CAD process, you kind of do. You don't. You really don't. You just get to vet them a little bit. So the corpse cart runs up, and it provides some corpses.
Provides armor? ?
Yes, it provides armor. No corpses are provided. The Glimmer Imp charges the Bronzeback and takes his eye out, kind of Red Rider way.
The bravest little imp climbs up on that Bronzeback's face and scoops its eye out with a spoon.
I feel like the Bronzeback just kind of lets it happen, like the birds that pick the meat out of a crocodile's mouth. But in this case, it's an imp that picks an eye out of an elephant's
It thinks
face.
that's what's happening until a spoon gets involved with its eyeball.
It's like, oh, you brought cutlery to picking food out of my teeth. That's an unusual Oh my God!
That is my eyeball and not my tooth. What are you doing?
In the desert, you got to find moisture where you can. So here's me being like, kill box plus walking 6 inches, and the Bronzeback is really close. Okay, that's not a place I want to be at all.
Would you like to give me 2 points or die to Bronzeback?
I think the correct answer is run.
Ah, yes, fear.
I will not know fear. Fear is the mind killer.
Sure. If you want to put it in so many words.
So Old Witch runs. She just runs over here, dumps a couple of fury, hangs out. Most of her friends are dead anyway. And this top zone.
You abandoned the poor little Rattler.
I actually did vexing alterations, so he's still in my control.
That ain't gonna mean much in a minute.
Yeah, he's here to die. He puts up countercharge, because maybe you won't kill him.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler alert, you're going to kill him.
I only have 2 heavies, 3 if they really needed to kill it.
I got a point here.
Gonna need 3.
Which is not irrelevant.
Yeah, you score the bottom zone because there's no Rattler there.
So, Evan, top of 3, what are you thinking?
So, definitely going to kill that Rattler with a Roadhog, or whatever I need to kill it with. Maybe a Swamp Horror if we are feeling spicy. We have those Beast Handlers that can go and take that zone if we so desire, and we're definitely going to kill your objective with a Bronzeback, because again, we continue the great chase of the Bronzeback slowly and intimidatingly following your caster until you can't anymore. Also, Xerxis is going to get nice and aggressive, basically getting in such a position that the Bronzeback moves up to kill that objective. He's still in control because we no longer have our feet, so everything is going to need to be very close because our control range is 10.
After you pump that feed, everything feels smaller.
Yep.
It's like a really cold day.
This is starting to sound less like a desert.
Deserts are really cold at night.
Uh-huh.
Plus, again, dehydration is a factor.
Okay. Well, still, I feel like that squid would not survive in the desert.
No, it would not. It would be dead.
Anywho, we go up, we enrage some things, we upkeep rapport, we don't have ignite on anything at the moment, though I will be throwing it on the Bronzeback for funsies. I do charge the Glimmer Imp with Xerxis in order to just get him up a bit, and then we sprint to fix our facing to not be stupid. That is after we put up ignite on the Bronzeback for funsies.
I like that Xerxis' version of the reposition you normally see on Cavalry is just go murder things and then you can move however much you want.
Exactly. Yes. Prerequisite, murder. We move up the Roadhog. He's going to put some attacks into this Rattler. That's what it's called. He rolls like garbage, and I decide I don't want to spend more fury on you. I'm going to use the Mat 8 guy instead.
Yeah, you do a very good job of kind of controlling your fury usage this turn, which I thought was wise. I've seen a lot of Xerxis players who just kind of have a really uncontrolled feat turn followed by just a really uncontrolled turn remaining, and when you've got that many threshold checks to make, it can be a problem.
Yeah, I think I make one more attack with the Gore just to see if I can get the crit knockdown, and then if not, I'm just going to move on to the Swamp Horror, who has a higher POW attack anyways, so why not? Immediately get the crit. It doesn't help me very much. It does, I think, 1 extra damage, but
That's free
again,
damage.
Yeah, just for rolling doubles on the first attack, sure, why not? I'll take it. And then we just proceed to crush it with the tentacles, as it turns out. Who needs high POW attacks? Dead Rattler, happy Swamp Horror.
And range helps a lot. The Swamp Horror has so many initials, and in general, Gator, Warbeasts, and I think Pigs a little bit too, just kind of have a lot more initials. So Enrage is more distributive rather than it's got a multiplicative effect there.
Yeah. Because, well, I mean, a lot of Skorne heavies have 3 because they'll have both fists and the tusks. But
Sure.
the Swamp Horror has 3 tentacles and the beak attack, which is pretty absurd.
So you walked the Bronzeback up and killed the objective in 2 punches.
Yep, dice plus 3. It's pretty good. Agonizer gets super aggressive and hides completely from the camera and goes directly behind that rock with Gnawing Pain up. Basically, I've now taken the entire top half of the table from Becca, so it's going to be very hard for her to come and take that back, especially if there is a nigh invulnerable elephant baby yelling things, making it harder to punch stuff.
Yeah, that's all a problem. I do get to countercharge this Krea, but I don't get to countercharge into the zone, which is what I'd hoped might happen. There's not a vector for that. So Evan's actually going to score, I think, 3 points?
I didn't debate this, actually. I should have maybe countercharged that with the Bronzeback, but eh.
Yeah, you're not engaged by the Baron. It's out by a quarter of an inch. If you countercharge with the Bronzeback, I think I get to take a Bronzeback.
That's probably true.
So
it's an option. I think I forget about the monkey getting countercharge literally every time you do it this game. And I think I continue to forget about it because I'm like, it's POW 8. What the hell's it going to do?
-2 to hit is what it does.
-2 to hit is the answer to that question.
Correct answer is he shows up and irritates you. And
It's
then
like,
you
this
either
is
have
just
to
a
devote an
stupid
attack.
monkey. Why does it matter? Oh, yeah, it has a hit debuff. That's annoying. So Zaadesh walks up, rushes his Gladiator. His Gladiator is going to get out of that rubble, is the gist of why we rushed it. And then we're more than happy to just sit about.
It's worth noting at this stage that I think Prey got cycled. Is it to that Gladiator? I think it is.
Yes.
Yeah, so that Gladiator is the Prey target.
Part of the reason why we pulled back with it.
Yeah, I was thinking you might bring that Gladiator into this zone, in which case I would try to kill it with Murder Crows, but
yeah, there's a Krea
instead
there.
the Murder Crows run. And I put a whole bunch of Murder Crows across the board. They are fast and they are furious. It's practically a Vin Diesel movie up in here. It's a reference to...
Nope, this one we're good on.
The remake of Point Break, where they had cars instead of surfboards. So, I'm looking to see if I've got a vector, and I'd really like to have a vector for this, where I can walk the Baron into melee range of the Bronzeback, jump 5 more inches, be in Evan's zone, and make a 3-inch melee range attack on the Agonizer, hit him, and consume him. That is the line of play I want here. And I spend about 2 or 3 minutes trying to figure out if it exists. Placing a proxy base as far as I can walk, placing a 5, seeing where I can jump to. It's a hair out, like a narrow hair. The kind of blonde hair quotient rate. Thin, but definitely and pretty unambiguously not in the zone. So I'm probably still going to take I walk over here, jump, and try to kill the Agonizer, because if I hit him, I consume him. That's automatic. And the Agonizer's only defense 12, so I need a 7 to do it. 50% of the time works every time.
Yeah, I didn't know it was just consume. I thought it was a crit. Turns out he'll just eat my Agonizer, and I don't like it. I don't like it. Not one bit.
He's a Baron for a reason. He's not like a low level count or a.
It's because he can swallow baby elephants whole.
I mean, he's also a frog.
He's a toad. I keep saying this.
I keep ignoring you. So, the Baron wanders over. Before he headed over, I just ran the monkey. Desperate paced the Piggybacks and ran the monkey into the zone, so I'm at least contesting. And the Baron misses his 7 to hit, which is fine, 50% of the time, you know. So I'm looking at trying to kill this Krea, which is a thing I'm going to have to do. And then also moving a bunch of Piggybacks. As much beef as I can put into that zone is what I want to put there. So I think about a couple of different things. I consider with the old witch doing a reduced cost, scourging things, but this Krea is too close to my Piggybacks. That's going to cause a problem for me. So I decided she's just going to claw it in the face. Scrapjack in the embiggened form has pretty impressive attacks. I have dual attack, so I could take a shot at it, but if I do that, I'm probably going to clip all my Piggybacks with blind. I don't want to do that either. I consider shooting something like the Bronzeback, but I've engaged it with the Baron, or like shooting somewhere far offside. Eventually I decide it's just not worth investing resources in, so I'm not going to do it. She casts Curse of Shadows. And she hits the Curse of Shadows. This is important because if the Old Witch just sort of fails, and she needs 7s to hit, if she just catastrophically fails all of her attacks, then I want to be able to walk through that piece so I can meaningfully put a bunch of effort into that middle zone. And if she hits her attacks, I want the extra damage that Curse of Shadows represents.
Yeah, the Krea is fairly squishy at, 12-14, and making that 12-12 is even better.
I'm out of the Agonizer aura too, which is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
I spend a Fury to cast the Gorehound's Animus of Sprint. My huge base caster can sprint also.
This is stupid.
So she scooches on away.
Well, all right then.
And it's piggyback time.
Copyright strike from YouTube. Okay, and enough of that.
Yeah, so it's beef time. Sending as many of these guys in here as I can.
So I am both unyielding, and you're in the Agonizer aura.
Oh, I don't make attacks. Power 13 against effective arm 23. I just don't bother.
Yeah.
I don't want to give you.
At first, I thought there were charges, and then they weren't.
Nope, just walking 7 inches. That Malady Man doing work. Sort of deciding where I want to put the death knell. It's pretty narrow. It's only on, I think, 1 corpse right now. It's the Wrastler's corpse. No, 2, because it has the Krea's corpse as well. So the monkey and the Malady Man, they do Cradle Song, which is a really cool effect. It's if a living model ends within 5 inches, it becomes stationary at the end of its activation. So I'm hoping that what the Bronzeback does is punch a bunch of piggybacks and then get frozen. And then it's not a countercharge piece I have to think about next turn. That last Cask Imp is a unit, so he is potentially available to score that zone, and he's going to live behind that forest for the rest of his days.
So looking at the table, I see some pieces I can take, but more importantly, I see Old Witch in charge range of a Bronzeback if I take 2 or 3 models out of the way. And I think the main reason that I want to go with this particular line of play is that while I know the Bronzeback basically will never take damage from these piggybacks, and every turn can just kill 3 of them, the Old Witch can bring those models back. And while she brings back a D3 and I probably kill 3 a turn, there's this kind of overwhelming attrition game that means the Bronzeback is probably stuck there for the rest of its life, and Becca's just going to overtake me on the scenario because I'm not going to be able to get anything around that wall of meat in order to contest her zone. So, if I instead kill 3 piggybacks, charge her with the Bronzeback, do a ton of damage, or potentially kill the Old Witch and just end the game, I've now got a Bronzeback in her side of the court, and I'm more than happy to continue chasing the Old Witch with a giant heavy that's incredibly hard for her to kill.
Yeah, that's all pretty solid.
Yeah, so how do we make that happen? Well, currently I have an Agonizer that is frenzied and is now completely in my way. The monkey that it frenzied on and missed because it is Mat 3 and the monkey has annoyance, as well as...
To clarify, not annoyance, monkeys bite.
Yeah.
It's -2, and you don't have to be within an inch, you just have to be in melee.
So Xerxis wants to clear out those so that I can both score my zone, as well as use Xerxis as a piece to continue to clear out the enemy pieces blocking off the Bronzeback, and because he needs to move up so that he can actually provide his control range to the Old Witch so that we can... control range to the Bronzeback so that we can actually get to the Old Witch and potentially take her out. So, where do we go now? Well, I'm thinking Zaadesh can charge in and kill that monkey pretty easily. But what does that leave me with this Agonizer that's in the way? Does he have enough fury to kill the Agonizer? He does, but then I won't have enough fury to rush the Bronzeback. And in this current moment, I'm just looking at it. There's too many models in the way for me to, appropriately measure it. So I'm thinking I'm just gonna try to get rush on the Bronzeback and deal with that problem later. And Xerxis is he can trample, so I don't necessarily have to worry about the Agonizer. I just won't be able to get the angle I want to charge Baron Tonguelick. So not gonna kill my own Agonizer, just gonna use Zaadesh to kill the monkey, and I'm going to use Zaadesh to rush my own Gladiator, who can then walk enough distance in order to rush my Bronzeback. Gonna move up with the last Beast Handler I have, tuck everything in to make sure they're all in command, which unfortunately means this other Beast Handler is also gonna get stomped by Xerxis with a trample.
Makes me happy how much of his army Xerxis is willing to sacrifice just to get a lane on Old Witch.
Right? So he enraged the Bronzeback. One other Beast Handler goes and enrages the Swamp Horror, because the Swamp Horror is going to be the piece that clears out a lot of these Piggybacks, thanks to both Chain Strike and just a high POW initial, and the ability to pull all of the Piggybacks out of Shield Wall to make it even easier. So we're going to start with the Swamp Horror. He's going to go Tentacle, pull a thing. You're checking countercharge ranges.
Oh, I was so excited for countercharge. If I could put another thing in your way.
Yeah, no.
That would have been so good.
So we make some attacks. I think we managed to kill 2 of the models we wanted to, which clears enough room, but means that we can potentially take a pretty bad free strike, which I don't like all that much. Oh, right, sorry. We also had to kill the Malady Man. That's why we don't get to kill as many Piggybacks as we'd like.
Yeah, you killed the Malady Man who was in the way, and then you pulled a couple of Piggybacks out. I don't think I make any tough checks here, but the corpse card is now nearly full, and these Piggybacks can be returned. So I'm in not terrible shape if I manage to survive this.
Yeah. All right, so... what is this for? This is for... I don't remember.
I'm not sure.
Oh, Retaliatory Strike. I pulled you in, and the piggies have Retaliatory Strike, so you
didn't quite do enough
tried
damage,
to punch
so
me.
I punched you back.
Yeah, and then the next one I go and kill, which clears out the lane for the Bronzebacks. Yes, sorry about that. That was a Retaliatory Strike. I checked to see if the Roadhog can actually get line of sight to anything. It can't, so we don't. And then we move on to Xerxis, who's going to trample his own models, because sacrificing my own men for the greatness of the Empire is what we do here.
The kind of key thing that Xerxis has to do is get further forward to keep everything in control.
Exactly.
So I think you even need sprint for that. So you're planning to trample some of your own stuff and then buy attacks, kill the Baron, and sprint.
Exactly. I'm basically going to end with Xerxis on your side of the table.
Speaking of my side of the table, now Evan has come over to my side of the table.
Yes, I'm now playing from your side of the table.
That's how you join a winning team.
So we're proxying it out. It's at this point I see what lane I have to go on in order to not take free strikes and whatnot. Xerxis then measures to the proxy base we've placed to see where he has to sprint to, because we now know that he can trample, have the room, kill Tonguelick, then get the sprint. So that proxy base now is where the final position of him sprinting and killing is going to be, which allows the Bronzeback to be in control range. So, with all that said and done, we do the easy part. Xerxis tramples. He actually hits he with a 3 hits the Beast Handler in the back because of the +2 to hit. Kills it. Nearly doesn't, because it's actually only a POW 8 trample, and does some damage to the Agonizer. Again, not a whole lot because it's POW 8, so dice off 5. But melee attacks that it actually makes are very strong, so it murders the Baron.
Yeah, it's one less Baron Tonguelick.
And now we measure the Bronzeback. So, the thing about this particular choice in the game is that I'm taking 2 free strikes here, so I decide that since I don't have the Agonizer aura, I have to use my Animus to get Unyielding from these. Because there's a chance that without it, you cripple some aspects, and that's not great for me.
Really, it's your spirit, which doesn't have very many boxes in it that you're mostly concerned about.
Exactly. It's entirely about the location that you roll and less about how much damage you're doing, because if you're doing anything, it's probably an issue for me if you're getting to the 5 or 6. So I just make that a non-issue by spending one of my 5 fury in order to give myself unyielding. And then we continue to roll like garbage on the old witch here. So first attack misses. Second attack does some damage, not a great amount. Third attack does 3 points of damage. And then we start buying. So we have 4 more attacks here. We haven't burned through either transfer. We only do 3 damage there because we're dice even thanks to the death knell, which is, again, pretty brutal.
I was hoping your vector would be bad, and I'd get a counter charge in with the monkey and make it even worse because defense 14. But you missed anyway, so it's okay.
Yeah. So it's not great here.
I do end up transferring the big one there.
Yeah, you transfer 2 of the attacks just because you can at that point, really.
Yep.
But the Bronzeback doesn't do enough damage to cripple the Gorehound. And
you take out Mind, actually.
Okay. But mostly just doesn't do enough damage to significantly hurt. Well, she's not dead, which is a problem. And I've kind of blocked off the lanes for the Roadhog to actually get any work done. So now he's just going to sit here. And again, we kind of have the same problem we talked about earlier that the Bronzeback has, and that's that as much as we can kill 3 of these piggybacks or whatever per turn, the old witch can just keep them coming. And now we only have 5 minutes left on our clock. So when we're making these attrition plays, it's going to be harder for me to keep up.
So time's a factor here. I'm down to, I think, 12 minutes left, something in that neighborhood. And then Evan has 5 minutes. So I've got a clock advantage, but I need to leverage it into a scenario lead because he still actually has the scenario lead and a pretty commanding hold of that top zone. Xerxis is still scoring, as are the beast handlers. I mean, they're in the spot.
There's actually one beast handler outside of that zone.
Oh.
He's in the mosh pit next to the Roadhog.
Right, because he was the prodding friend.
Indeed.
So I'm going to need to deal with that. That's the plan for this turn. So I'm hoping to kill the objective, get a point back from that, send the Murder Crows into their prey target of the Gladiator, and put more beef into that zone. Move more pigs in, move more pieces, bring back stuff if necessary. That's the basically the whole objective for the turn. Oh, and there's a Bronzeback adjacent to Old Witch, so she's going to have to do something about that.
Yeah. Less of a problem than you might expect. I mean, you Curse of Shadows so that I can't make free strikes. You, I think, attempt to or successfully blind me so that I am blinded. And then you also Scourge me so that I'm knocked down. So I am just a myriad of conditions on top of, just being kind of sad over here. And then the old witch just decides, screw it, and walks away.
Sorry, she walks away and then shoots you. This is important.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
So you're scourged, knocked down. You are blinded by the gun. And you are... blind, scourged, and cursed. Cursed to Shadows.
Yeah.
You do have unyielding, so basically backup number 19. But I got a couple points of damage on you with the free strike, so this is a Weapon Master Death Knell now. That's not nothing.
Yeah. It's not nothing. You do some damage, and I mean, I believe most importantly, you take out you might have taken out an aspect, and also you have Entropic Force, so I can't heal it.
Yeah, I'm hoping to. I know I'm not going to kill this Bronzeback this turn, but I'm hoping to do enough damage to it that it's like very wounded. I did spawn the Trapperkin back this turn. It's on the table again. So
whoa, and there is some thunder. Sorry for that, folks.
That's how exciting our games are. Even the weather's responding positively. So the Trapperkin's going to charge the Bronzeback in the back arc and do another 5 die, and hopefully this time not roll like trash.
Indeed. 5 dice. This time you absolutely crush it with that damage roll.
I think at this point I do take out an aspect.
Yeah. The Trapperkin, despite failings earlier, is a bit of a hero with the damage rolls later in the game here.
Yeah. The Gorehound just peels back, and I check to make sure it doesn't have a crippled spirit. It riles for 2. At this stage, I'm just like I'm really only getting 4 or 5 Fury a turn, so I need to keep it as a valid transfer target. Old Witch is pretty low on boxes. She cut to get back up to full, but I think she's on 3 boxes right now. And I have 1 transfer.
Yes. So, like, if I can get damage into her, which it's a bit difficult at this point, it'll hurt.
So the Murder Crows, 4 of them charge the objective, and 2 of them charge their prey target, the Gladiator. The 4 who charge the objective do kill it, although only on the last attack. And the ones who charge the Gladiator roll pretty darn good. Like, I wasn't expecting to kill it or anything like that, but I think they take out nearly a third of a Gladiator.
Yeah.
Unexpected, but not unwelcome.
So he's not crippled in any way, but he's upset that he's been hit by these Murder Crows, so he's going to deal with them. Then we roll for all the corrosion and fire on Xerxis, because he is standing in both Burning Earth and a Acid Bath at the same time.
They ain't got nothing on him.
Mm-hmm. They both go out, so yay. And then we move on. So the Bronzeback was on 5. I think we only took like 1 or 2 from him. So he frenzies, and he punches the death knell and misses. Despite shaking blind when he frenzies, he's
shook blind, shook knockdown, still cursed of shadows, not paralyzed. So he does all those things, and then with a crippled mind, he misses a defense 12 huge base. Defense 12 has been kind of a bane for that Bronzeback.
Indeed, it has.
Quick note, he does end his activation in the AoE, so he takes another point of magical damage.
He's so mad right now. And then the the Gladiator does a great little trample over five of the Murder Crows. And we boost on a couple of them and don't boost on a couple of them, and it turns out it didn't matter, they're all dead.
You killed 5 out of 6 Murder Crows with that trample attack.
Pretty damn good. And
that
then
is appropriate vengeance.
We still have Zaadesh hanging out here. And while I could have just gone and killed that Murder Crow, I decided it's probably more important to go contest your zone, not kill your zone. However, fatal error. I did fill up the Gladiator with those 3 boosts, so I'm not actually going to have a transfer target despite camping 3.
You're just hoping I don't notice at this stage?
I didn't notice until you went to make an attack on it.
Fair. You kill some pigs.
Yes. Swamp Horror starts making attacks. At this point, I have clocked out. I have not. I have 19 seconds left.
Yeah, we're definitely playing at a bit of a fever pitch, but I think we've acknowledged that we'd like to see how the game plays out just because we're so close to what feels like the end.
At this point, yeah, I think I've fairly well accepted that Becca is going to beat me on clock at this point for sure, and whether or not scenario is a factor, we're going to play it out and see. Although my odds aren't looking good with these piggybacks. Because, Old Witch kills Zaadesh. There's that.
Old Witch did a couple of things there. She Spirit Roved the 2, and she Reaved the 2. She did Hellhole, and she brought back 3 pigs, and then she bought a bunch of attacks to eventually kill Zaadesh. Map 5 is not particularly kind to her, but she got some boosts in there and managed to finish him off. Now that Warbeast is wild, I'm way more calm and secure in my zone, so I just move some pigs up, and they shield wall, and then these pigs move up, and they shield wall, and I should have probably brought them even tighter into the Swamp Horror, so it had a harder time pulling things, but they just make some attacks on the Roadhog, and the Malady Man does the, if you end within 5 of me, I'm stationarying you again. I forgot to spawn a monkey, but that's okay, because I'm going to charge the Trapperkin in the back of the Bronzeback again, and the Trapperkin kills the Bronzeback.
Yes. Indeed, the door dude kills the Bronzeback.
Which frees me up to run the Death Knell, towing into the zone, blocking for Old Witch, and nailing all the piggybacks with a full stack.
So this guy, the Swamp Horror, fails the threshold check, does some frenzy stuff, and I clock out. But again, we're just going to play it out, see what happens. Xerxis tramples over my dudes, kills both of them. Probably not the best move there. I probably could have just turned around and strangleheld the Murder Crow.
They do have stealth, so...
Oh, really? I thought it was just prowl.
No, stealth.
All right. No, we made the right choice. And then we sprint into the piggybacks to prevent them from getting into my own zone. I think I am more than durable enough to survive a couple rounds of piggybacks with Xerxis2, and that was my turn 7. Only about a minute or two over.
Turn 6,
clock.
actually.
Or turn 6. Oh,
yeah, we're
mind.
tied up 6 on 6.
Never
this
mind.
Stage. And you're like, I think the Trapperkin's going to win the game for you. And I was like, actually, I think it's this cuter play I'm going to do. So Old Witch gets back up to 5 because she Reaves 2 and Spirit Reaves 2. She backs off to 13-inch range, and she casts a plus 5-inch range Curse of Shadows. Boosts to hit. Hits Xerxis with Curse of Shadows. Now, he can't make free strikes. My models can move through him. So this unit of pigs run to the uncontested circle zone. Was that a Wookiee noise you just made there?
That was a groan, but it did kind of sound like a Wookiee noise.
It was low-key Wookiee. I liked it. It was good.
Unintentional, but not unwelcome.
Yeah. So I got some pigs who at dice down 5 are just going to make some more attacks on the Roadhog. This time I do bunch them up sufficiently around that Swamp Horror that you're not dragging me at a shield ball anymore. And they just roll well. They just do a bunch of damage. I think like 10 in the first couple. One of them kills the Beast Handler who was there. We're down to just the Roadhog and the Swamp Horror there. I think I killed the Agonizer. Put a couple points in that Roadhog. He's mostly fine. Death Knell's good. And the Trapperkin, I debate a couple of different things and ultimately decide to charge the Swamp Horror in the butt.
Yeah.
I feel like the Piggybacks are doing the job the Trapperkin was supposed to do in that top zone just by getting that point. And I end up doing... it's one less die, but the Trapperkin rolls buckets of dice, so I get to do a big chunk of damage to that.
It's true. It's true.
And with all of those things in mind, the Death Knell just gets into range to Entropic Field both beasts, and I score 2 points, making it 9-7, which is a big deal. At this stage, I have a 2-point scenario lead, and I don't know how you're going to bring it back.
Indeed. I figure at this point we're on the last turn, and Xerxis is the only model that's going to actually activate and do stuff. So he turns around, he ignites himself, and he makes some bacon, as it were.
Yeah.
So mount attack's great against these guys. Prevents them from having tough because it just auto knocks down. So we use that once or twice here instead of the actual high power weapon, just because it's only 1 power less and prevents tough. So that assurance is a little bit better than the potential extra damage. I'm also, just since I'm such a high power, using just 1 die of damage and not bothering to boost because it's considerably reliable.
They're also only arm 14 right now because they're not in shield wall and they're outside the Death Knell aura.
Exactly. And then we sprint to be in both zones again, just because we can. I think I maybe kill a Trapperkin or something with the Swamp Horror.
Yeah, the Swamp Horror definitely kills a Trapperkin.
Deal with him for good, because he's done a lot of work this game, and then we make some attacks into some piggies.
He's ready to put another notch into his belt to kill 2 heavies this game.
Mm-hmm.
But alas, it was not to be. You put the final notch in the Trapperkin's belt. Door to nowhere.
Door dudes joining the Spoon Man.
It's mostly a utensil-based army.
Welcome to Imp Appliances, where we sell you spoons and doors.
You spoons and doors.
And
Spoon,
apparently alcohol imp making machines.
Alcohol making machines are great. So you don't contest my zone, so I score a 10th point. You score an 8th point. I currently have a 2-point lead. I guess at this point I functionally won the game. It's bottom of 7. But I'm going to do cute things because cute things are available to me. Old Witch cuts for the last 2. She's,
No, cut for 3.
Yeah, I opted not to kill myself in the reaving step. The pigs move in a little closer, and they do some punching. This dice goes flying. Again, I'm auto-hitting the Roadhog here because he keeps ending his turn and becoming stationary because of the Malady Man's Cradle Song.
I can't get to him.
The Death Knell charges in, and it gets... Or sorry, it just walks in. Gets some dice. And that Roadhog's on, what, 2 boxes? Something like that?
Not a lot.
Not much. I debate my options here and decide to just Scourge it.
Yep.
So Old Witch walks
Options.
up. She casts Scourge. She boosts a hit. It's paralyzed, but I'm still boosting a hit and boosts damage. And she kills it. All the pigs are knocked down, but they can't take damage because their flesh is impervious and they're in shield wall. The POW's just not high enough. So I killed the Roadhog. The Swamp Horror is not in the zone. There's nothing else in that zone, so I'm going to score it as well and get basically a tie-breaking control point. And that is basically our game here.
Yeah.
Really, really furious at a couple of different moments. Intense. I like the Disciples of Agony Xerxis list. It's got some cool tools.
Yeah, I'm excited to experiment with the options available. Still, the sprays are really good, but also Clockatrice are so prevalent these days that I think the Swamp Horror might have some merit to have 2 of them. But also, there's so much in terms of beasts now that it's just there's an overwhelming number of options with a list like this. I mean, I could even just go all-out Roadhog and have a stupid number of threatened sprays. I could bring in Tiberian if I felt like I needed a shield guard, and then maybe swap out Tiberian or what's it called? Either the Bronzeback or a Roadhog or something like that for just bigger, beefier beasts, that kind of thing. And there's a lot to experiment with. If I didn't want to bring in Zaadesh, I could bring in a Shaman to do the same role and maybe cast some more variety of animi.
Yeah,
There's a whole lot there.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying Bump in the Night. Tons of new tools. I'm showing them off, and it's the first time I've used Piggybacks in ages, and they performed. They did exactly what they were supposed to do, which is be this huge roadblock in the middle of the board. And certainly some mistakes were made, but we're getting back into it, back on the trolley, so to speak.
Indeed. So thank you very much for watching, folks. We'll have some more videos coming up for you soon. A bit of a Grymkin series for the next little bit, but we also have some variety we're going to throw in after that as well. So thank you very much for watching, and we will see you next week.